name is Calxiyn here, and today, before we get started, let me remind you guys that you guys should become subscribers, Discord residents, and patrons on Patreon.
You'll never leave.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying residents, like you will literally live there. I'm not shitting you. So you know, there's that.
Just because you live there, don't
okay.
like push your obsession onto them.
Anyway,
nice
can we talk about this? Can we talk about this?
I don't know what this is.
Okay,
sure.
so recently, let's say there have been massive Game of Thrones vibes from the most recent episode, at least for me. And so I want to talk about comparing Adam to Joffrey from Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay, because Hunter and I have watched Game of Thrones together. We have also watched Game of Thrones apart. I think Hunter has been watching Game of Thrones since he was like 12, like when things first started. You know what I mean? Like a while
14,
ago. Yeah, well, for me it was 12, right? Because we have a 2-year age difference.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
I was still kind of on Pokemon at 12, but what do you want? That's probably not entirely true.
Well, you know what I was still on Pokemon too, but like, don't worry.
I'm still on Pokemon.
I know, that's what I'm saying, so what does it matter? So anyways, so we've kind of been in Game of Thrones for the long haul. If you guys are in our Discord server, you know that we love it very, very much. And so the most recent episodes gave me some vibes, Hunter, if you want to call it that. And so, Hunter, with your Game of Thrones experience, like,
yes.
How much of Joffrey do you see going on with Adam
right now?
right now?
You mentioned this after we watched it, and I was like, you're absolutely right, Cal, that he does a Joffrey, or whatever, like Adam, when he sits down, he does a total Joffrey.
Yeah.
He's sort of like leaning over.
It's the exact same pose. Like, they literally looked at that, probably had a picture of him on their desktop,
or just
while
like,
they
what
were
does
animating
an absolute
this
asshole look like? Oh, here's a helpful template.
So, I don't know if this is going a little bit off topic, but you guys will know that, like, a company such as Disney references a lot of their old animation scenes, so they don't need to redo certain bits of animation. And so if you watch Snow White and then watch, I think, Robin Hood, there's a similar dance scene in there. Same with a bunch of other Disney movies I don't want to go over, but footage is reused and referenced a lot in Disney, in anime, like lots of things like that are looked at. And so I would not be surprised if they literally took a picture of Joffrey sitting on the throne and use that as a reference. Like, I would not whatsoever.
That's helpful because it's like, because they're similar in the sense of like, how the fuck did you get in charge?
Yeah, like, because when you look at it, right, I don't know how to phrase this properly, so you guys bear with me. Like, Sienna had her legs crossed on the throne, like, she was still doing this weird foot thing, but her legs were crossed. And meanwhile, like, Adam totally has this Joffrey stance where he's like, yeah, he has this man-spreading. He has this man-spreading stance, and it's hilarious. But, you know, in the different ways they sit, you can also kind of see what they're going for. You know what I mean? And that a lot of people have done videos on Joffrey and how Joffrey isn't that good of a leader, and now he's dead. So, you know, see how well that turned out for him. But they say that a lot when Joffrey is talking to Tywin Lannister, Joffrey is fidgeting, he won't look at him, he's still doing that man-spreading thing, similar to that. You know, he has a lot of quirks that show that he can't really sit still in silence sort of thing, and so I would like to see some of those with Adam. But anyways, more sort of to the point, I would say, is that you know, the way Sienna sits is very like, I'm in charge here. Like, guards, take them away. You know what I mean? But how Adam sits is like, I just got the throne, bitches. Like, it's very sleazy, you know? Like, his legs are wide. He's making himself comfortable. Like, I've always wanted to sit here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like somebody's sitting on their living room couch and they just want to take up as much space as possible. Like, that's just kind of the feel I got. And that is very Joffrey-esque, I think.
Joffrey-esque.
I know.
Interesting. And
it's also kind of, I don't want to say his personality, but Blake mentions that Joffrey was a good person. Like,
Blake.
Or Joffrey.
Adam.
Blake mentions that
Adam was a good person.
That Adam was a good person originally, and then he just kind of fell into this psychoticness. And so in Game of Thrones, we see that Joffrey seems like a good guy at first, and then he asks for Ned to be beheaded, right? That's kind of how that goes. And, like, everything just goes downhill from there, guys. Like, everything. Nothing works well after that at all. And so when you kind of consider that, I suppose, like, you can kind of see how there are comparisons to his character. Not just in the way that he's sitting, which I still literally think that they just looked at a picture of him to animate. But you can also kind of see that there's a progression from Adam kind of pretending, towards Blake anyway, that I'm sure we'll see one day, to be a nice, like a okay guy. And then suddenly he decides to go and kill people, and like Sansa, or Blake in this situation, is like, the fuck, man, like you said, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of, like, it's just, there's a lot of comparison there, but there's also a lot of, I guess, interest for me, because if this is the route they're kind of going, obviously Joffrey was poisoned by, like, a random old lady, you know what not random, it was, what's her name? It's a Tyrell.
Oh, something Tyrell.
Yeah.
Olin? Olin? I don't fucking know.
It's okay.
Tyrellin.
Marjorie's, grandmother, she did it.
Mama Tyrell.
Yeah, Grandmama Tyrell, she did it. I think it was her grandmother anyway. I looked a bit too old to be your mom. But, so this begs the question, at least in my mind, if they are gonna go down a Game of Thrones route, I can see sort of somebody else being blamed for Joffrey's death. Probably maybe Hazel, because Hazel's the only kind of human that's running around, and then, you know, it was actually somebody else. Or maybe not even Hazel, but it was actually, let's just say that they blame Ilya, and Ilya gets sort of executed for that, because, you know, even beyond the grave, Adam is being a dick and hurting everything that Blake loved in her life, and then really Salem did it because she realized that Adam was not the team player that she wanted to be. And so you kind of have that old woman poisoning the king dynamic there. I appreciate that, you know what I mean? I would think that was cool, you know, if they are taking a little inspiration. Obviously, I don't want them to blatantly copy Game of Thrones, but I also don't think that it's super unrealistic for them to find a way to kill Adam, quote-unquote, secretly. Like, I would love it if Blake didn't even get to Adam first, and if the bad guys were even like, yeah, this guy's too much of a dick, like, even for us, you know?
That would be anticlimactic, even more anticlimactic.
I guess, but what if Salem did it herself, and the first time we see Salem in action is literally just killing Adam? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean, like, by poison or anything. I'm just saying that, like, everybody, like, thinks that Adam was, like, mangled by, like, some horrible monster, and meanwhile, like, Salem's just wiping blood off her hands back in her lair, like, listen, okay? Like, he was not playing with the team, alright? I just had to get rid of him, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if that's the first time we saw Salem use her powers, that would be pretty cool. But I know a lot of you guys want Blake and Yang to do it. I know you guys want revenge in that way. But think about how interesting it would be for, I guess, villains, like, the kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Even as, like, Salem showing some good faith towards Team RWBY. Like, listen, man, like, I don't want anything to do with you guys. Like, I'm just trying to, like, fuck with Ozpin, okay? You guys don't need to be involved in this. Look, I even killed your little psycho boyfriend for you. Everything's A-okay. You know what I mean? Like, just, you know. Also, I think this begs the question that, like, after Joffrey died, like, somebody else, like, his brother just kind of took his place, and then his brother also died. How did the brother die again?
He killed himself.
Okay, so the brother killed himself.
Yes, after his wife was murdered.
Right.
By his mother, because Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And filial relationships.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that, because I think after Adam's done with the White Fang, Blake will be able to take him over.
White Fang? Like, Blake? Jira?
Blake wanted to, but maybe Gira...
Shopkeep?
Maybe Gira would take it over again just because he feels bad, like this is his fault because he's the one that stepped down. You know what I mean? Or maybe even Callie will become chief of menagerie and then Gira will just lead the White Fang. And they'll work together on that, you know? But yeah. And it's just like there's, I guess we could do like there's probably like an ability to do like an hour-long detailed analysis on comparisons between Joffrey and Adam and other characters and other Game of Thrones characters, but I just wanted to do kind of a little snippet for you guys and kind of play with the fact that maybe they're taking some inspiration for Game of Thrones. I would, like, honestly, as much as I want Blake and Yang to kick his ass, at the same time, if that is the first person that Salem decides to kill, and, like, people kind of know that she's the one that did it, I think that would be, like, amazing and totally subvert our expectations of how we think that Adam is gonna die. Like, that even the villains are killing each other because, you know, Because we know Hazel even kind of has this weird code of, like, honor code, like, nobody needs to die today.
Honor code.
What if Salem is just like, hey...
yes, my code of honor code.
Yeah, like, what if Salem is just like, hey, you know, like, he wasn't a good fit for our taking over humanity, okay? Like, we couldn't have him around, you know? Like, I just like it.
Yeah, I like the idea of, well, just first Salem in action, because that'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
But Salem versus Adam.
I know, like, if that's the first thing that she did, I don't know. I fell in love with this idea way too quickly. I know it's probably not gonna happen. You guys are probably, like, in the majority that want Yang and Blake to kick his ass. You're probably gonna get what you want. I'm just thinking maybe a little too outside the box for some of you guys. But I would really like it, because, like, you know, you gotta have standards when you're taking over the world. You can't just accept everybody into your evil organization, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just let people run amok, you know? You gotta keep some semblance of order, and I feel like that when Salem was like, hey, you never underestimate how powerful it is to, like, work with people and stuff, or how powerful...
The power of friendship.
Yeah, that's basically...
Brought to you by a murderous witch.
Yeah, like, basically, right? And so, when you kind of think about it like that, at least in my head, that's kind of foreshadowing, because, like, the Adam stuff was almost, like, right after that. So she said, hey, Cinder, you gotta learn to play nice with others, and then, like, Adam kills Sienna. That's obviously not playing nice with others. Like, Salem is gonna say something about that. And that also kind of brings me to the final thing I wanted to bring up in regards to Joffrey, you know? Like, Cersei tries to manipulate him a lot, and it just does not work. And, like, Salem could try the same thing. And also Menagerie. Marjorie also kind of did, like, try that as well with her good looks and stuff like that. And so, like, all of these women were kind of trying to get Joffrey to do all of these different things during his short life on Game of Thrones. But, you know, none of it worked. So it would be interesting if, like, Salem could actually try to talk some sense into Adam using her feminine charms and her grim beauty.
I mean, you laugh, but I know you find her attractive. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, in general, it would be interesting to see Adam and Salem converse in the same way, like, that Marjorie and Cersei were trying to, like, be like, hey, Joffrey, maybe just don't do this. You know, it's just a suggestion. You don't have to listen to me. You know, Cersei was a bit more forceful sometimes, though. She was just like, you are my son. You will listen to me. Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of depends. You said you see Cinder as a mom. Like, can't you see her kind of like
Salem
Adam? Like, yeah, that's what I said.
You said Cinder.
Oh, sorry. You said you kind of see Salem as a mom. Like, can't you see her being like, Adam, you're grounded? Like,
yeah, I
you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like this was like less about Joffrey and more about Game of Thrones connections, and then also like Mom Cinder, you know, or Mom Salem, I should say.
You don't know how to word.
I know.
Today.
I'm just, I'm so captivated by the idea of Salem like murdering Adam.
Yeah,
like,
it would be fucked up.
Just, I don't even know how to explain this, but just, like, imagine, like, just, I don't know, like, her little, like, clawy fingernails just going into his mouth and, like, ripping his head apart or something, like, super violent like that.
Holy
I don't know,
shit.
I'm just saying, like...
The fact that you were able to, like, improv that is disturbing.
Who said it was improv? Maybe I think about this every night before I go to sleep, Hunter. Like, just horrible ways for Adam to die. And, you know, maybe that's why Salem is around at the end of the OP and she's big like that, and the girls are kind of looking up at her because, like, you know, she does something like that to kind of quote-unquote assist them, like, you know, as a show, like a sacrifice, you know, as a show of good faith. Like, hey, I'm not all evil, okay? Like, we have some common interests here, why don't we just work together? You know what I mean? Hunter's just looking at me like, what did I sign up for today? Like, yesterday was different. Anyway, guys, if that's all you have to say, Hunter, like, you...
That's all I've got to say.
Okay, is that it? Is that it? Okay. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know. Even if it's not, like, the most detailed thing in the world, because, again, if we did go over every single little scene in Game of Thrones, it would literally take us hours. or at least an hour, like a full hour, and I don't think anybody wants to talk about Adam that long. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and remember to join our Discord server, become a patron, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.